So in this video, I would like to discuss my personal strategy on which banners to pull for in the upcoming months on global on counter side. As a free-to-play, if you want a particular SSR, you really want the 150 tickets just in case you hit hard pity. Hard pity is not likely, but it does happen. If you pull an SSR without this sort of safety cushion, just know that you are taking a risk. Remember, this is gacha, and you need to be mindful of your resources, and impulsiveness is your enemy. And finally, this is my own personal strategy as a free-to-play. I am prioritizing the upcoming PvE content, and I'm mostly just doing the PvP in order to get the content points. So if I stay in bronze or silver, or if I never get the gold in the upcoming months, I'm fine with that. So with that out of the way, let us discuss the upcoming banners, both the SSRs and the Awakened Units. So here's a TLDR of my strategy, basically, for the SSRs. Sigma and Edel are good, but Seraphel and Ifrit are priority. And as for the Awakened Units, I'm pulling for Awakened Yuna, and I will be saving up to hopefully get Awakened Soyun when she comes. So Sigma is a battery and a buffer. She buffs anti-roll damage and anti-roll damage resistance. Her ultimate also gives you another body in the field to tank for your units. Again, she's really good in places, but there's already other units that I want. Edel is also good, but a bit more niche. She's famously used in Shadow Palaces, especially the first 3. She's also used in other content versus soldiers and corrupted objects. Corrupted objects are the ones in the story. And occasionally, she'll have a challenge stages where she will shine. However, since she's more niche, again, she's not as priority as the upcoming units. So finally, we get to Seraphel, the one I'm actually going to pull for. She's a 4-cost defender, and there's not really much to say. She's just a really good 4-cost defender, especially for me that doesn't have Yumi, who is a 3-cost defender. Seraphel will have a lot of value in my account. So then we have Alex, who is one of the strikers in the game. Alex to me sort of feels like an Estarossa or like a Shiyang, that's the female Shiyun. And another striker that we'll talk about later, that they're kind of selfish, they're kind of reliant on good gear. And Alex's unique utility is that she removes buffs, which is way more useful in PvP than in PvE content. So next we have Harab, and again another PvP centered unit. Her big thing is that her special charms 2-cost units or lower, or summoned unit. So the units that she can charm are stuff like Eins and Zwei, the twins, and soldier units that are low cost, admin riflemen, etc. So then we get to Ifrit, one of the main damage dealers for mechs. Even if you don't use mech teams, they're still worth it to run. They're kind of like the riflemen of mechs, where you plot them down and they do a bunch of damage. Although something to note about Ifrit is that you may not want to level their passive to max level. That's because Na Yubin, which is one of the Awakened units that will be coming out, he has this ability to reflux barriers. So if you max out Ifrit's barrier, Na Yubin will just one-shot Ifrit if they get the reflux, and Ifrit is a striker, so they don't have much range. So now we have Nile Bluesteel. This is the other striker I mentioned before. Again, a bit selfish, kind of gear reliant, mostly PvP centered. She's really annoying with her silences and immunity to auto attacks, and her blind on her ultimate, and she also does pretty decent AoE damage. She benefits from taking the initiative and attacking first, so she's good in rush comps. So now we get to Estak and Mika Star. I lump these two together because basically they're not particularly good. I'm not actually sure because I don't own Estak in my C server, and Mika Star I've not really used at all. I just know they're not really all that good. Now let's discuss Awakened Units. Pulling for them is a bit different because the pity carries over. So if you have extra tickets, like tickets going beyond 3k, because 3k is your safety net to hard pity, you can try to get the current Awakened Units with your extra tickets, just as long as you don't go below 3k. So let's start with Awakened Mina. If you've played PvP when she came out, you have probably seen her absolutely just run you over. She's a monster in PvP. She gets perfect evasion whenever she does her special skill and whenever she does enhanced auto attack, and this gives her a lot of staying power within the field. And even with her supposed counters, which is snipers with high hit, it's still hard to deal with her. But that's PvP. As I said, I'll be focusing on the PvE content. And while in PvE, she's not bad per se, because her kit is so focused on being strong in PvP, she doesn't contribute as much as other Awakened Units in the PvE content. So speaking of other Awakened Units, we have Awakened Yuna. And this is the one I'm pulling for. It's actually kinda soon, so I might not have enough tickets to guarantee her, but hopefully I get her. She's sort of this one-man army, both tank and damage dealer. She has AoE damage, she self-heals, she has buff removals and a buff blocker, and she has percent HP damage, which is more useful in high-end PvE content. Yuna's bird Rayleigh also dive bombs the backline every 5 attacks. Rayleigh also gets to revive once every deployment. Rayleigh is also tied to Yuna's self-healing, both her passive heal and the heal she gets from her special skill. So one of the ways Yuna can die is that if Rayleigh is dead and Yuna gets bursted down on the window where she doesn't have her self-healing. She's also very good in Shadow Palace in particular because of her AoE and her tankiness, and that's very good, especially for me who won't get Adel. I think there has been a bit of confusion in the community in that there's the saying that she falls off endgame, because currently in C server and probably in Korea as well, the endgame content that we have, Dive 50, Relic Dungeons, she's not used that. And while that is true, it doesn't remove her usefulness in the content that we are just about to get in Global. In terms of PvP, she's actually very strong as long as, well, it comes down to whether or not Shaolin is banned or not. Shaolin is able to output enough damage before she's able to self-heal at all. And on the weeks where Shaolin is banned, she can go toe-to-toe with Awakened Mina. Yuna has buff removal, as I've said, and if Yuna is able to special skill and remove Mina's perfect evasion buff, then she opens up a window where Mina can get killed. However, Mina also has a silence, so if Mina is able to silence Yuna before that, then Mina has the advantage. And moving on to our final Awakened unit, at least the ones we know of, is Na Yubin. Also a PvP-centered Awakened unit. Again, he's gonna be pretty annoying in PvP. He's an evasion tank, which means it's hard to CC him, and he constantly moves forward, so your backline sometimes is in danger, so he can just kind of sneak in there. He also has the barrier reflux, where he will delete barriers, and not only will he delete them, but the unit behind that barrier also takes damage. So that's why he's a natural counter to big barriers such as Ifrit, and also damages towers when he's deployed. And on top of all that, he reduces your skill haste. So his kit is very overloaded, you could say. But in PvE content, normally he's not used because other defenders just do more for their cost. But if it's like a challenge stage where you can use one of his many tools or more, like countering towers or refluxing barriers, then you can use him there. So that was all of the units that we know are coming so far for Global. Again, these are all just my personal strategy as a free-to-play going forward. Hopefully this helped inform you on what the upcoming units are capable of and which content they're used in, and maybe you don't get exactly the units that I would pull for, but hope you are more informed. Thank you for watching.